to the Reckon Interview Live. I'm here today with Frank Stitt. Frank, thank you for coming on.
Well, certainly. Nice to be talking with you, John.
When we recorded last week, you reopened Bottega Cafe for curbside service. Tell me how that process has gone for you. What led to that decision? And
Actually, kind of exciting just figuring out all the systems of how to make it work, since we've never done that before. And so, along with Adam Gruson, who working in Bottega's kitchen, and then we had our other staff. So we were start taking orders every 15 minutes. Bit of a problem with people having to wait, but then it was just exciting being back in the kitchen, cooking and making food that was beautiful and delicious and exciting, a way that we could efficiently, people could pull up in the drive and pull in the back, and then we would run it out and put it in your trunk, and satisfying.
well, and I guess a lot of restaurants around the state have been adapting to that model. Trying to figure out how much food you're going to be selling in a given day versus.
They were really stuck. But farmers market and some other farmers markets, but they've had to pivot and do CSA, community supported agriculture, which is a subscription. And so you will get a box each week. And so, say, for example, a friend of mine, Trent Boyd, he was doing 90% restaurants, and now it's 80% or more. The CS farmer, that you basically go and pick up a box of just harvested ingredients once a week, and you get wonderful food, and you're supporting local Alabama farmers.
Well, that was one of the things that you and I discussed earlier on the podcast, is that, but it affects so much more beyond that, whether it's the farmers, or we talked about bakers, or even the real estate companies, the banks. There's this ripple effect. When we last spoke, you were talking about the Independent Restaurant Association and then the need to get some.
Not really. With Congress being out, I think the Senate is coming back, and so we have just a couple of problems. One is that with the unemployment bonus to pay people not to work has adversely affected the owners of the restaurants who do the employing. And so basically a relief package that would be for restaurants. And I think it's going to be a long shot to get Congress to do that, but it's something that the IRC is working on.
We are in the middle of a conversation. Businesses and economy. We've reopened some of the beaches. We have started phasing back in a lot of employment, but restaurants are still closed. In your opinion, is that the right decision? Is it should we?
Dr. Michael Sag yesterday, and who's certainly one of the most intelligent people on infectious diseases, mitigate. And if this virus spreads because of our close contact, we can be smart and have curbside and survive for a little while, and so until the coast is clear, the infection rate goes down for an extended period of time.
I'm curious, I guess, from a culinary standpoint, as a chef, are there certain recipes that make more sense for curbside delivery and take home versus something that you would be serving right inside the restaurant? Something that has to.
We're trying to be clever in that way. Say, for example, the Bottega Parmesan souffle probably won't travel too well. If you hit a little speed bump and that souffle kind of blows up, I don't think you'd be too happy. Yeah, pizzas, of course, work great. We're doing these wonderful pasta dishes. There's one garganelli with shrimp and asparagus and sweet peas and tons of mint and lemon and a little spiciness to it. We're doing so much flavor, and those things with kind of hearty vegetables of cipollinis and carrots and things like that. I think they can make it to your trip home after you pick it up, and they'll be delicious. The chicken scallopini with this fresh kind of juicy chicken breast that is dipped in, doing it with a kale slaw. And so I think those
Oh, wow.
kinds of things are will do well. We're doing a salmon flatbread, which is like a little pizza dough we cook it crisp, and then it's with fresh dill, mascarpone, and smoked salmon and spring onions. These candy onions from Trent Boyd that are so sweet and so mild. They're stunning.
We have one question immediately off the bat. Are you doing orange things to go?
Are actually doing a cocktail kit in fresh squeezed orange juice, triple sec, and so we've got all the makings for you to make an orange thing at home.
Oh, perfect. I'd like to invite everybody who's watching to please leave your questions in the comments, and we'll answer those later on. I know that I'm getting very hungry just hearing you talk about this, Frank, and so that does bring to mind, there are a lot of families donation to the Alabama Food Bank Association. There's a button somewhere around here. I think it's there. It might be there, but you can make a donation there. You can also go to thisisalabama.org and buy a special T-shirt with all of the proceeds going directly to the Alabama Food Bank Association. It looks like we've gotten a question come in. That feeling, that kind of service that gives patrons, at least temporarily, how can you translate that to curbside?
Yeah, that's a challenge. And Pardis, my wife and business partner, who is the one that sprinkles it has to do when you pull up, and the valet looks you in the eye with a smile and helps direct you, and it's how to convey that they care and they want to help you with that order. It comes from the love and respect and care we put in the food that hopefully is transmitted through our attention to detail. And so that when you take, those are the little things that we can do now.
Certainly. You've got two other restaurants. Are there any plans in the works to slowly phase back either Chez Fanfan or Highlands?
Well, yes, that's a little bit of a debate between Pardis and myself. She's even more cautious. Figured out a way to have our garde manger, our cold appetizer station, set up in the wait station. And then there will be one person on the grill and one person on saute. So people can pull up to that lovely front of Chez Fanfan. And so we haven't set a date yet, but that's right. Dahl is on the coconut cakes, and so I'll save you one.
Okay, great. Well, we did hear about some finalists this week for the James Beard Award. Have you had a chance to dine at any of the finalists for outstanding restaurant category? Are there any that jump out to you?
Well, I think Fig, but let's first talk about Automatic.
Yeah.
Adam and Suzanne are friends. I love their restaurant. I think they're a fantastic job, and I think that it's a real restaurant. It's beautiful. The design is great. Adam's food is fantastic.
It is.
And so I think that's a really great for the home team of Birmingham to get this kind of recognition. And so I know how hard they've worked.
Perfect. And you were about to mention Fig, I think, as well.
Yes, you read my mind or my lips. But Fig in Charleston, Michael and Jason, the chef de cuisine, exciting, delicious. It's local. Everything about Fig works, in my opinion. It's great service, great hospitality, and it's Charleston's a little bit like a second city to me. My daughter lives there, and so I get to go to Charleston pretty regularly. No, I mean, but
have you had the chance to speak with chefs in other cities? I mean, how are chefs in New York or Charleston or Chicago or Louisiana, New Orleans? Are they taking similar steps to adapt for their business like you are?
Yes, you're right. And in fact, that's one of the good things that's come out of this pandemic is a little chain of sharing our dinner and drinks And so with Mike Lott at Fig and Ashley Christensen and Ryan Pruitt and Cochon in Union and Atlanta. And so we've been posting some of the things we're cooking and some of the things we're drinking. And so that's been a fun exchange to reconnect with.
A message from Johnathan Langston. He says, Frank, thank you for all that you do for our industry. You've been a great mentor to so many of us. So wanted to pass that along. I see a wonderful collection of books behind you. We talked about philosophy a little bit last week when we spoke for the podcast.
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's a great for me to read. Was my mentor, and it's always a great for me to revisit Richard's works. So Simple French Food and the French Menu Cookbook and 10 Vineyard Lunches. But let's see, I'm looking back on the Basque. I'm attracted to regionals, like the southwest of France. And so I can kind of get excited all over again about the foods from there, about traveling. The Mediterranean is always an area that fascinates me for the food and the culture and the history and for the beautiful Mediterranean Sea. And so now's the time to even start planning those trips in the future that I want to take.
Please, if you can, help us help those in need by contributing to the Alabama Food Bank Association. Like Frank mentioned earlier, let's support our Alabama farmers by signing up for those CSAs so that we can have their products delivered straight to our doors. And then, of course, let's support our Alabama restaurants by visiting places like Bottega, where you can pick up even an orange thing to go.